What's going on? Move the Mouse here, back in the town of Rockdale with a quick little update to kick off episode 6. So I said that I wouldn't do stuff off camera, but this industrial zone is just killing me, and I've been screwing around with a couple things. But before I even finish this project, I kind of wanted to put the first couple legs in place and then pick up the recording right there to kind of let you know where things are at. So I'm trying to deal with this horrible problem coming off the highway. I had saved the game so I could test some things out and revert back, but I found that I think this solution is going to work. So I still had this horrible stream of cars coming off the highway, and part of the problem is the AI. Without mods on console, you can't force them into certain lanes. So even though this is a 3-lane highway here, and this is a 6-lane highway down here, they basically get into the lane as early as possible for where they want to go to. So this red truck here is going to turn left at the next intersection. We know that. And wow, I would have pulled him over if I was a cop. All these ones are going to continue on, and they'll eventually dart over to the left lane when they get where they need to. Now, in adding some of these roads, it put some traffic lights in that I didn't take out yet, but it just wasn't working right. So I came up with another solution, and that is I'm going to bring the traffic off the highway onto another highway that runs parallel to this, but we're going to alternate our exits. So at each intersection, we're going to alternate a left that'll take us down that street, or a right intersection which runs down and underneath the highway to take us to that next street. And then we're just going to, again, keep alternating. This is a left exit, that's a right exit. We come over here, we're still on our curve tool. Let's go to straight, see if we can connect that. So that's a left exit. We'll bring this down first, and then curve tool out a little bit and around. So far it's been really lucky where it's been working with the stand-ups there. It hasn't been giving me too much problem. And then now we'll go back to our straight tool. We'll do a left exit and another right exit. Now for this piece right now, I don't think I need this piece of the highway, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete that, and then we'll curve this around right to there. So now they can still get it at exactly where they could get to before, but by alternating left and right exits, I'm hoping that that's going to address some of the problems here. So let's redo our exits off the highway. We'll help these people out just a little bit in the short term. I'm going to connect a little on-ramp here, just so they can get onto the highway, because I'm going to blow away that road. We'll take all this out of the equation. I want to line this up a little bit better. So now we've got this on-ramp. I'm sorry, that's an off-ramp. We've got this off-ramp here. I want to connect it under the highway to this new piece of highway that we've built. We're going to have to change the direction on this in a moment. So let's snap that. We'll come down out 12, because that is the smoothest slope possible. Come under, just barely under our bridge, and we'll curve it in right there. So we'll bring our exit ramp up, go curved, curve it right onto there, and then let's go in and fix our directions before I forget, because no one's going to use this off ramp otherwise. And I want to see what effect that will have. So we've got the other thing I did. So I started screwing around with the on ramps. So the on ramp is a highway here, gets on there, comes around here, gets on over there, but we were still having this problem with this backup coming off the highway, and that's ideally what we want to address. So let's see what happens here. This traffic should continue to zip along, and then depending on where they're going to, they should either exit right or left. And you can see that the cool thing about this is they are selecting different lanes, right? So we've got a couple cars exiting the right lane. Most of them are preferring the left lane, but it's alternating that traffic around and making it so we've still got a bit of a slowdown here. We're still catching up because there's too much of a slowdown coming from full highway to this backed up ramp. But I'm hoping that will catch up pretty quick. It looks like it's dealing okay. The other thing we could do is we could turn this from off-ramp into highway, but then what I think happens there is people get confused, and again, they take the lane that they want to get early. So if you have 3 lanes of exit ramp, let's find that out real quick, because we can always downgrade it after the fact. Maybe if we have one little segment of exit ramp to funnel them off, it looks like that's actually moving along pretty nicely now. Now the next problem we have to deal with is the people getting on the highway, but I think we've kind of solved our problem here with people getting off the highway into our industrial zone, which is nice. Let's go in here and mess around with our intersections now, because we've created stoplights at all these places, and honestly we don't need them. Take them all right out. If we need to control traffic flow a little bit, the street that is less busy, we can always throw a stop sign on, but unlike real life, they're pretty courteous to one another. So we've got some death happening all over the place here. While that's working itself out, I want to kind of leave that for a minute. And I don't know if you noticed, subconsciously I thought, okay, we got a bunch of dead bodies, let's pull up the garbage dump. Don't judge me for that. But let's see what we've got for cemetery coverage over here. We've got 1 cemetery. We have 1 cemetery for this entire city of 20,000 people, and it is it's pretty full. So let's find a good spot over here. We've got one down on this end. I think a good spot would be up here where we haven't zoned off. Put it right next to the metro station and the bus stop if people want to visit their dearly deceased. Then they have some easy public transport to get there. So that will help us out a bit there. We also have access to crematoriums now, which I don't think I put in yet. We have 0 capacity there. So let's go ahead and find a good spot for those. We want to do it right in the... Let's do it right across the street. We'll take 1 building out. Thank you for your tax dollars. We will see you next time on Rockdale Live. All right. So that will start to address the death problem that we're having. I talked about it in my previous tips and tutorial tricks and things series, whatever you wanted to call it. Let's Play City Skylines. I talked about it in my previous series, but you will eventually run into death waves. You have these huge population spikes, and in fact, we can see it. City info, statistics, and you can see where you have these massive population changes. People move in, they grow up, they live, they work, they have kids, they die. Just like real life. And when you have these massive population spikes, you'll also have these massive increases in death wave. Now, it's on a totally different scale, so we can't see it when we put the 2 on the same graph. But you can see these massive upticks in death, and then it drops off, and then it upticks again. It's all based on when people moved into your city. And you're going to need more coverage at that time. So if this skull and crossbones icon doesn't go away, we can always raise the budget temporarily on healthcare, which includes a number of ambulances and hearses that are going out to pick people up. So let's jump back over to our industry and see what's happening here. It looks like our off-ramp is working wonderfully. We've got to figure out a way to solve our on-ramp problem next. But I am really excited about this. It's making things move right along and very efficient. At some point, we're going to want to plunk a cargo train terminal over there. We have access to that now? We do. We could do this, but we've got over $1 million in the bank. I mean, we might as well plan on kind of where this is going. We can move that dump. Snake the train in through here. That would be kind of good. But I'm not going to worry about that just yet because I believe, and let me double check. Ooh. I was going to say, I believe we don't have any access to outside rails, but if this will let me build a rail here, then yes, we do. So we can connect this to export goods. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see why our dump is not empty here yet. It should be. Oh, because I turned it off. So, and just like that, we're done. So now we can bulldoze this building. Or maybe not bulldoze it, but move it. So let's do this. We'll get rid of this road. We will move our dump as close as we can to those city service buildings down here and the metro. Nothing like getting out of the metro right next to a dump. Well, we are at it. And before I forget, let's rename this metro station. I was going to call it the dump, but let's get a little bit more creative. Now we've named our first metro station. The Upper Decker. If you don't know, Google it. And if you're young, I take it back. If you're young and not of age, then don't Google that, please. I don't want to give kids any ideas. Let's move the. So I know some of you are Googling that right now that didn't know, and now you do. The more you know. Okay, so how are we doing here? We've got traffic just screaming off the highway. No more backups. Things look beautiful there. How do we get things more efficiently onto the highway? That's the question. Because this is awful right here. Again, the problem with this is like you see all these cars that are already on the road, right? Let's follow this and see if I can prove my theory out. This orange, yellow, and these two logging trucks. They're in this right lane because they want to be in this right lane. And I think it's because they're getting off at the city. And let's see if I can prove my theory right here. So we're looking at the red logging truck, the yellow truck, the red logging truck back there. Those three should be getting off here. Red logging truck, there we go. So all these cars want to get into the city. They want to go deliver goods. And this is the problem that we're running into, and a problem that we can fix if we do something like this. If we alternate left and right exits, people are going to get in that lane that they want to get in. The problem is, right here, the traffic wants to be in the right lane because it's getting off the highway at the right up ahead. And all this traffic wants to get in the right lane because that's how they merge onto the highway. So two things we could do. We could space this highway out a little bit, bubble it out just a tad, and have all this traffic merge from the left lane. Or alternatively, we could really screw things up down here and try and have this exit come left. But that's going to be tricky. It would be easier if we raised this side of the highway, because then this could just exit right underneath the other piece of the highway. That's one way we could do that. Let's see if we can make that work. So we're paused right now. Let's demo this exit, and we're going to turn it into a a left-hand exit. We're going to have to do a couple things to do that. So we'll kill off all that. And what we need to do is we need to see if we can raise this piece of the highway up one click and not hit this overpass here for the 3-layer. So let's delete this highway. And see if we can raise it up and just connect it all as an elevated highway all the way to over here. We're going to go back one more length so that I can raise it on a good slope. Back to straight tool. And it should be 12 clicks for that nice smooth slope. Any more and it kind of gets stupid. So we'll do this. Will it let me build underneath? It looks like it will. That's awesome. And then can we just connect this all the way we can? Okay, so now here's where things get interesting. Let's look at where our... Let's delete this for right now, because I just want to get a smooth exit and then we can build the highway over it. But if the highway stands, basically the legs of it are where we want to exit, then it's not going to work quite right. So I would rather have this kind of meet up where we want it and then make the highway work with it, which I think we should be able to do there. Okay, that works. Now we need to move this off ramp. And in fact, let's do this. We don't need this power cord running through here anymore. Power is more than capable of spreading around our city. So let's rethink this. So how do we bring this down? We start right here. Can we connect right to it? We can. That looks good enough for me. Then we'll connect this right there, maybe. Let's see what that does. Let's give that a minute. Most importantly, look at what this does way back here. Is now we're going to see people start traveling and pathing to that left lane because they want to exit and get off the city. And it means that people are going to get out of each other's ways. Now, it's still a ton of traffic coming through here, unfortunately. Whether or not this gets backed up next is the question. But you can see at least some of the traffic now is moving along, getting over to that left lane. And hopefully that will pick up and catch up to where it needs to be. I'm going to be messing around with this. There's no instant fix for this, unfortunately. You've just got to kind of look at the traffic patterns and see what needs to be done to kind of resolve the issues. So, garbage galore. We've got garbage just filling up everywhere. Let's look at our incinerator usage. We don't have a lot going on here. We have 2 incinerators there. Let's add a third over here because we've got 2 full dumps. We've got 1 there. Let's put 1 here. We'll pollute our river a bit for now, but we need that incinerator coverage. Let's look at healthcare coverage, which is looking pretty good. Decent green coverage everywhere except for the industry. And plenty of availability. I wonder if we knocked out some of that, how much we could get by on, you know, could we do a single hospital to cover all that? I don't know. I guess actually there's one quick way we can find out. So let's pause. Let's go to our hospitals. Medical clinic number 1, we'll turn that off. The Y button on Xbox, triangle button on PlayStation, and that unnamed switch button on the Switch. Doesn't have a name, in case you didn't know. It does, I just don't remember it. I have one upstairs. I'm too lazy, just like the last series. And then where was our third hospital? It was somewhere kind of central up here, I thought. Is that it right there? That's a firehouse. I should know what the med clinic looks like. It says med clinic right on it. Police. Right here. So let's turn those off. Okay, our 3 med clinics are off. And let's just see, for the heck of it, what would a hospital do? Can we put it somewhere where there isn't a train track or a neighborhood? Not really. I kind of messed myself up here, huh? Because those streets are too close together. It's just a little too wide for that. Won't let me blow out the university. Well, okay, let me put it there. So let's just see how much of that it covers. That does a pretty good job. If it was more centrally located, it would probably cover exactly what we need. But it looks like I would have to reroute my train track just a little bit. But we could make it work right there. A nice central hospital, right on the 6-lane avenues. No need for the med clinics, unless you want to be discreet about some kind of weird itch you have and don't feel like going to the main hospital. Maybe we'll put a clinic out in the edge of town, next to the dump. Where all the best doctors work. Let's do this. So let's rework our train tracks here. We'll take out these 2 links. We'll drop our hospital in there. Let's let it play for a minute. Let's come in and delete our clinics. Where's our 3rd clinic? Up here. Okay, so they're all unhappy, but hey, you've got a nice brand new hospital right here, centrally located. Everybody can get it nice and easy. Don't cry. Let's fix our train track. Not that it's connected to anything, but just so we don't have to worry about it later. Ooh. We're gonna have to come in a bit more. We're gonna have to come in earlier to clear the hospital, which is a little bit further back. We just want to barely... hook it around there. Kind of like it with a little bit of that bend. Looks a little more natural. That business is not too happy about... its backyard patio is now completely covered by the shadow of... There we go. Yeah, get out of there. You don't want to be there, buddy. We totally covered up their patio in the shadow of a rumbling train track. So we've got the train that comes in. We have not hooked that up yet, but again, I want to do a rail around the city and kind of set some stuff up that way. But I think we've done some good stuff up here. We've definitely done some good stuff up here. We have this road we don't need anymore. We could... Let's take a look at our fire and police coverage up here, because we have access to those bigger buildings now. So we could cover a little bit more of our industry area that way. It's not bad, but it is kind of on the edge of things. Look at fire, it's probably going to be the same. Fire's not great. So let's move some stuff around. We could make some room now that this dump is empty. Let's pause. I found myself not wanting to pause early on and just like power through and unlock stuff, but now it gets to that point where you have problems that start piling up. So let's relocate this building down the street just a little bit to make room for our new fire and police station. So we'll destroy those. And again, we want the police station on the end of the street, or I should say the police headquarters on the end of the street. Because that is a one-way, and if it catches fire, we want the fire department or the fire headquarters, fire station, to be able to get there and put it out. Our incinerator, ironically enough, is one of the biggest fire risks here because it is the longest route, one of the longest routes for the fire department to get back to. They'd have to come down here, go all the way around the block, come back around. So interesting enough that the building that has a fire of burning hot garbage going all day is our biggest fire risk over here. So let's take a look at that again. Now that it has a chance to catch up there. So fire safety is a little bit better. Again, you're still far from the department over here, but you're not bright red, high risk. You're in the orange, which is better. Good route coverage, good roads to get around. And it should be the same thing on the police as well, too. And I don't think it matters, and I'd have to double check this, but just because we care about people's health too, even those industry workers, right? They're, just as much responsible for the income of the city as anybody else. They should have good access to healthcare. Although honestly, I think you only need this for residential areas. You need this where people live, just like you need schools where people live. They're not going from work to school; they're going from home to school. Although in real life, that we know that's not the case. Although you know what? Oh, that just got unnecessarily expensive because I don't want my hospital to burn down. So, a couple quick moves. Move this over here if it'll fit. Will it fit? Just barely. Nothing like recovering and getting better while breathing in the incinerator smoke. But hey, I think they're in bed with the insurance companies and now the garbage companies. You make them sick, we'll make them better, send them right back to you. So I like this a lot. I really like what's happening here. You can remember the highway at the start of the episode was a complete mess. We have no problems with people getting off the highway now. Very efficiently moving these alternating exits. I apologize for starting to build that off camera, but I tried a few things before I found something that I thought would work. And then as soon as it clicked, I said, okay, now I got to start recording. So getting off the highway here is great. How's getting on the highway? Getting on the highway seems pretty good too. Most people are taking those trucks back into the city. The ones that are going left are probably going to export goods off the map as of right now, because that's the only reason you'd be going that way. So we just don't see a lot of traffic heading that way. We've got an incredible demand for industrial, and what we're going to do is stamp a second copy of this. I know in the last episode I mentioned that we bought this tile over here so we could... Don't mind the dog. We bought this tile over here so that we could start some farming and forestry and things like that. But I just had to address the problems over here. And I think the easiest thing to do now that I've kind of got the highway figured out, I think we could double the amount of traffic that these exits are supporting and not get into as bad of a problem as we had before. So what we can do in the next episode, because we do have to solve that industrial problem, that industrial demand problem, is bring this highway around, and then here where it dies, we're actually just going to continue it. We're going to continue it around, and we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to have alternating left and right exits into a zone that does basically the same thing. A bunch of one-ways. We'll have fire police, garbage, and what am I forgetting? Healthcare coverage. Sorry, healthcare coverage over there for them too. Oh, we've got stoplights happening over here. That is not correct. But okay, so I hope I didn't speak too soon, because with all this traffic pouring out at the same time instead of via stoplights, let's see what that does to the highway. So while we look at that, we're going to kind of try and stamp a second copy of this zone right next to it, if we think we can support all of this traffic. Did I forget an intersection here? Let's see. No, it's all going. Okay. It's still flowing nicely, which is good. So we'll let this play out a little bit. If we can support all this traffic coming to the highway, we'll try and double it up. But it looks like just removing those stoplights is bringing a lot more traffic to the highway at once. Again, though, the help over here was that we got this ramp connected. Whoops. But we didn't connect the way off the highway. Pause. Sorry, people. Let's see if I can snake this under here, and then we'll call it a day. So let's see if we can get this to connect. It's not the smoothest little bend there, but it works, and it gets people out of our main city both ways on the highway. So I'm definitely going to plan on doing this in the future for my industrial zones. Maybe just one stoplight at the end of this street. Maybe that would help kind of slow the flow of all these cars pouring out of there. We'll see, though. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll look maybe for another spot to build an industrial park like this, but this is a really efficient way of alternating the left and right exits, and we'll plan on continuing to do that out here on the highway. So I'm glad I kept playing, because there's no way to get off the highway from over here, right? Did I miss that? You can get off the highway coming this way into the zone. You couldn't get off the highway going that way into the zone, so now you can. Again, this still might present some problems, so we'll see how this works out for us. Maybe, what are we at time-wise? 29 minutes and 20 seconds into the recording. We could try and get them more up to speed with a collector lane or a highway lane. Let's see where people are. It comes and goes, apparently. It seems to be smoothing itself out. I'll keep an eye on this. I'm not going to nitpick it right now, but you can see that this is definitely an improvement. Getting people off the highway for sure. It's just smooth as can be, even with traffic coming from both sides. Left and right alternating streets, or I should say left and right alternating exits that take us to each one of these streets. So it really forces the people to get into the lane that they want to be in, and everybody's not piling up in the same spot. We'll look at doing that on the other side, and also Whether or not we do an identical mirror image of this, we will look at building a cargo train terminal here. If we do a mirror image, I will probably do dual cargo trains back to back. And then we'll start connecting our rail system somewhere around the city. We'll see where that comes into play. In the meantime, we need lots of commercial, lots of industrial. So we're going to have to build some more commercial space out here, maybe. Expand these neighborhoods. We can start to go on the other side of the highway. We didn't zone off over here. We could certainly do that to meet some of that demand for the short term. We're on the outskirts of our little town here. May as well make sure this whole street covered. Didn't mean to do that, though. We don't need to move commercial into the dump. But that's good for now. I think that's a good place to finish. Like I said, I'm sorry for those of you that wanted to see everything step by step, but I was screwing around with a bunch of stuff, found something that worked, and then finished building it here. So it was just really kind of driving me crazy. But we've got this industry kind of in a place where it's functioning again. It was really starting to be a mess, but now we've cleared up some of that problem on the highway. We definitely could look at making this more efficient in the future because it's kind of a cluster right now. Got some ideas for how to do that with some one-ways that we could make some interesting routes around the city, but we have to be very careful with our city services when we do that, make sure they can get to all the buildings, and that can be problematic. So we'll figure out some of that. There's still tons to go. Where are we at population-wise? 22,000. We get our next bump not until 50,000, but that's when we get the nuclear power plant. So we'll try and meet that industrial demand. I think it's the third video in a row that I said that, but you know, we're just trying to fix the industrial demand over here. I think we can make this successful. I think we can keep this moving. We'll find a spot for another one, maybe down here, maybe over here. We'll flatten that out too. I don't know. Over here might be nice. We've got the farmland over here where we can meet some jobs, but we'll definitely have to metro that up because otherwise people won't come all the way over there. Certainly not from the residential areas that we have now. So we'll see what happens in the next episode. It's just kind of growing organically. There's no plan here. I'm just building a city, meeting the needs as we go, and trying to talk about some interesting tips and tricks maybe thrown in along the way. I think the biggest thing though that I have always neglected to do in the past was plan for trains, and I really want this train to be kind of a fun route that gets you around the major areas, and maybe we can rely less on metro tunnels to do that, because I've always made a rat's nest of metro tunnels underneath the cities, and I think it would just be nice to kind of have metro servicing the individual areas and then get people out onto the trains maybe, to have them, you know, bypass the metro and use that as an above ground way to get out and see and travel around our beautiful city. So until the next one, if you enjoyed the video, thanks for sticking through. Hit that like button. It really helps the channel a lot. If you're new here, consider subscribing. And while you're at it, hit that bell to get notifications, because it's very easy for a small channel like mine to get lost in the YouTube algorithm. Until the next one, though, this is Move the Mouse signing off.